Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am the Peacefire Witch. Here are my hands. You're going to see a lot of these guys. Again, if you are new to this channel, which you are because this is literally my second video ever, you will know that I live with a bunch of kids, a bunch of dogs, and a couple of other adults. So you will hear people in the background, you will hear kids attempting to get into my room, which is currently locked, but they will do their best anyway. Last week I did a walkthrough. Not last week. I'm going to post all these videos at the same time. So if you watched my first video, that was the walkthrough of the Muse Tarot by Chris Ann. And this is Chris Ann's other deck, the Light Seers Tarot that we are going to review today. So let's just get right to it. Now, again, this is a mass-produced Hay House Tarot. I have decided this year that I'm only going to be purchasing indie decks and doing indie deck reviews, but I do have a few mass-produced decks that I purchased before I made that decision. I actually purchased all of those in 2020, but I did not receive them really until 2021, but all the decks I purchased in 2021 have been indie decks. Now, Light Seers Tarot did start off as an indie deck, and of course was a Kickstarter, but this is the mass-produced version. I do not have, sadly, the indie Kickstarter version, which I think would be amazing. I have also not touched, I haven't even flipped through this deck or anything, so we are going to get to experience it together. So this is like a official unboxing, I guess, and a first impressions. So first impression, of course, of the guidebook is it's very beefy. This is a very decently sized. In fact, you know what? This is her Muse Tarot Guidebook, and it is even thicker. You can tell I've very much loved this guidebook already. It's thicker than that. I think it's the same size. Yeah, it's the same size, but it's quite a bit thicker. Let's see. Oh, don't you love that sound? I love that sound. I know a lot of people don't, but I love it. I love opening up things for the first time. So in the guidebook, we have, a message to the dearest light seer, working and healing with the Light Seers Tarot, which my impression from Chris Ann is that she wants tarot to be a very positive and uplifting thing. The Muse Tarot definitely takes even the dark cards and gives them a very positive and meaningful, uplifting kind of twist. So I'm guessing she does probably the same with the Light Seer Tarot. Again, Light Seer kind of implies that. Guide to the Major and Minor. Again, I'm going to say Arcana. Some people say Arcana. I've always thought and read Arcana in my head, so I'm going to say that until somebody decides to tell me I am very wrong and I need to relearn that. So if it's a actual pronunciation that I'm saying wrong and not just an opinion, please let me know because I do want to be saying it right. So this deck does use the official Rider-Waite tarot words. So we have the Wands, the Cups, the Swords, and the Pentacles. If you watched the Muse Tarot unboxing, she does change the meanings of some of those, or not the meanings, but the name of some of those minor arcana cards. So this would probably be a really great one for somebody learning tarot who wants to learn it in kind of a, I guess, uplifting way. Let's see here. So there's some readings. I think there's some spreads in here. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's a couple of different spreads, it looks like. Some ideas for how to get to know the deck. And then each card, so we have the name of the card up here, the photo of the card, which I'm trying to remember. Hold on. I find it interesting that she made these decks back to backs and that what the differences are. So this one does not include pictures of the cards themselves. Again, that's the Muse Tarot one. This one does include the pictures of the card, a little black and white copy. And it has what kind of the meaning of the card. And then it has kind of a story, it looks like, to go along with it. And then I love this little quote, "I am ready for this adventure down my soul path." And again, that's kind of what the Fool is. The Fool is a journey, and starting off the journey, you don't know anything yet. You have no reason to be afraid of anything. You're just going and you're doing. And that's the Fool, and that's why I love the Fool so much. And the Fool comes up for me a lot, which I find very, very interesting. A lot of the names in tarot can sound like, you think fool, you're like, oh, a person who's foolish. is a bad person, but in this case, a fool is actually usually a very positive card. There's a few, I guess, positions it could fall into where it wouldn't be, but for the most part, I think it's very positive. So it looks like each card has 2 pages worth, along with a very large quote. Kind of something to send you off with. All right, so that is the guidebook. Again, it has some spreads in here, and it has some suggestions and stories and a message from Chris Ann, and then each card. And then for a more in-depth look at each card, go to Lightseer's Tarot Extended Guidebook. I did look at the website before I came on here because I'm very interested in, oh, maybe did I shuffle this? Maybe I did. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I don't think I shuffled this. I don't think I've done anything with this deck yet. So we're just going to do a walkthrough of the cards. But anyway, the website is not as in-depth as the Muse Tarot website was, with the like audio and the poetry and the prompts and the visuals. We'll take a look at it at the end of the video, but it didn't ring to me as something I would spend a lot of time on like I did on the Muse one, just because it's not as in-depth, and I can find all that information pretty much in the guidebook. So we're going to get started here. Okay, I must have shuffled this at some point because this is clearly not the Fool. So I apologize, this is not in order like I thought it was going to be. But this is a fun the World card. You know what, since I don't have to flip it that way since they're all shuffled anyway. Ace of Wands. So again, this is not a deck that I have spent too much time looking at, but it already kind of gives me this, like, I guess a hippie vibe, like a free spirit, light, happy. And they're like, honestly, this card pretty much just embodies everything I just said. People are active. They are, I'm seeing primarily, again, I will talk quite a bit about diversity in cards because I think it is important to have diversity in cards. I tend to be drawn to cards that show someone who looks different than myself. It's like I don't want to take advice from me. I want to take advice from somebody else. So if I see a card that looks like me, like the High Priestess in the Muse Tarot deck, I did connect to that one oddly, even though I was like, oh, she looks just like me. I've never drawn it, which is interesting. So I don't know how I would react to seeing it actually in a spread. But I do find that I really like cards that either remind me of other people. This actually reminds me of one of my childhood best friends. Like, oh, so in every way, like everything about this Knight of Wands reminds me about her. I'm gonna have to tell her about that later. But this one does have quite a nice diversity. There's a diversity of race. But another interesting thing that I think a lot of people tend to leave out of cards is a diversity of body shapes. They still tend to draw, the different races and the different ethnicities. Oh, look at this. I love this. 2 Cups is usually a favorite card of mine too. It didn't stick out to me in the Muse Tarot deck, but it has stuck out to me in several other decks. And I just love this one. But anyway, so, they tend to leave out different body shapes. And this one seems to be including some different shapes and sizes in addition to, different ethnicities, which I really enjoy. I like this one a lot too. 5 of Cups. Oh, the 6 of Cups when he was a little puppy and he was a little kid. As a kid, I didn't have a dog. So, this doesn't necessarily connect to me, but my husband, when we got married, he actually had a dog who, when we got married, the dog was 16. I think he died when he was 17. He died about a year into our marriage. And he had that dog from the time he was 12 years old until he was, 28, 29. Actually, I think he was 29 when he passed away. So, just to me, that card really kind of rang true and reminded me of him. I love this one, the 10 of Cups. It's showing different relationships. Again, this one has male and female characters in it, which the Muse Tarot was heavily female. This one has a more diverse as far as genders. I've seen a few gender neutral, although most of them have been pretty gendered cards. Beautiful. Got the crow on there. Again, I am very, oh, there's 2 crows in a row. Yeah, I will point out anytime there is a crow in a card because they're like my animal. They're the ones that I feel, I know I had a weird couple of weeks where they kept appearing to me in very strange places. Like I went to work one day and there was one, oops, crows. There was one sitting in a tree outside my office and he was just, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how crow heavy this deck was. You know, I don't know why I've been so hesitant to pick it up and to work with it. I think it's because I've been so, oh my gosh, are all of the swords crows? Hold on. Okay, sword. This one, she's in a nest. That one doesn't, I mean, yep, there they are. So all of the swords have crows in them. I did not know that. Why did I not know that? Okay, so anyway, I had this crow sitting outside my office and he was just cawing at me. And finally I went out there and I just looked up at him and I was like, hey, can I help you? And he just kind of looked at me and cawed one more time and then flew off and I didn't see him the rest of the day. I don't really know what that was supposed to mean. So it looks like our crows have gone away. I'm not a bird expert, I'm sorry. But they were there through the 10. They're not there for the page. Yep, he's back in the night. Let's see. Yep, there's another one right there for the queen and the king. So these cards, again, have the typical names. Nothing has been changed as far as I can tell. The pentacles are pentacles. The wands are wands. Yeah, everything is the same. Now it looks like we're actually in order. So maybe I looked at a couple cards and then I don't know what I did. It looks like the pentacles are being, they're different things. So they're all circles, but they're not a consistent, they kind of are except for the 8. Let's see, these geometric symbols, and we've got the pentacle there. Yeah, looks like all of them kind of have the same pattern going, except for, well, the 8 does too. It has the same pattern. It's just in a moon phase. Beautiful. Oh, I love the 10. This is my card. I have a ton of kids, so, and a ton of dogs. I don't have a ton. That's way too many. But no, I have a lot of kids. I have a lot of dogs, and you will hear them constantly in my videos. Love the Knight of Pentacles. The Queen. Oh, look at this card. Love this card. I think this is my new favorite one from the deck so far. The King. There's the Fool. So like I said, the Fool is one of my favorite cards. I definitely look for the Fool before I purchase a deck to see if it's something I would enjoy. I love this Fool. So she's not walking off the edge. Like most of the Fools are depicted as somebody that's starting a journey. So they're walking, they're going somewhere. She is actually just kind of falling off the ledge and she's holding, it looks like amethyst, which is one of my favorite stones. I actually got one. There's usually one very nearby me. I don't know why I love amethyst so much, but I do. Anyway, so the Fool looks like she's holding one in her hand and she's just letting go. She's falling into the journey. She's not walking into it. She's falling into it. A few Fools do this, I've noticed, so it's not too unusual. Again, we have a Magician that strays. Oh, nope. So it has the elements right here. So it has the 4 elements. It doesn't have the wands and the sword and the cups and the pentacles depicted in here, but they are depicted through the 4 corner symbols right here. And so it's a little more of a traditional magician card than what we saw in the Muse Tarot, which just used kind of the colored orbs. This is the High Priestess, who is, I feel very familiar with this card because she is what is on the cover of both the guidebook and the box. The Empress, the pregnant card. Beautiful. The Emperor. I like him. He seems like, the Emperor to me sometimes goes, it can go to a negative, like the bad kind of emperor, the bad kind of leader, the person who's taken their power to the extreme. I think we can all, you know, if you're in the United States right now, you can kind of relate to that a little bit. But this one looks like the kind of leader I would follow. He was somebody I would listen to. He seems like somebody who is intelligent, and he was holding the chess piece. So there's a lot of that symbolism that is being pulled into this one that we didn't see quite as much in the Muse Tarot. I love that. The Lovers. It's like an interracial couple. That's pretty beautiful. Look at that. I love this one. I'm not usually a big fan of the Lovers card, but this one I really, really love. The Chariot. You may seen Teen Wolf where he's on the roof of the car after turning into a wolf. That totally reminds me of that. The Strength. Now this is, again, another one of the cards I said is one of my favorites, and I look for it before I purchase a deck. I don't like this one. I get what she was going for with, you know, the half lion, half human, the strength is within you, that sort of thing. But I like the visual of the actual lion and then the person either riding it or in some other way being with the lion. That's just my personal preference. You know, the infinity symbol is there. But this card has everything a strength card should have. I just don't love it as much as I loved. I mean, the Muse Tarot one, like I said, is my favorite strength card. So that's a little disappointing, but you know, I can get past it because this deck in general is very, very beautiful. The Wheel, Justice, the Hanged Man. So, okay, this is one card that is actually renamed. I said I hadn't noticed any, but this one is. So it's Death and Rebirth. And I think the reason Chris Ann probably did that is because the Death card tends to get a bad reputation, especially when it's seen in TV shows and movies. It's like, oh, somebody's going to die. But that's not what the Death card means. The Death card means the end of something and the beginning of something else. You know, the cards kind of work in these series of 7. So this is just the end of one. And then, you know, the next one begins. So I like that this is actually a renaming that I very much enjoy because I feel like it gives you a better sense of what the card means, especially if you are a new reader and someone who is not yet familiar with, oh, wow. Okay, this might be my new favorite devil card. Look at him. He looks so trusting though. Like, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, I can understand why this is being depicted as the devil. The Tower is kind of oddly beautiful and not scary for being the Tower card. And again, you know, this is a card that tends to get a bad rap when it shows up. People think it means destruction and terrible things are going to happen. I tend to view this card more as being the terrible thing has already happened. And it's like the thing, we've seen it. We've seen the terrible thing that's happened. And now it's time to rebuild. Now you know, it's gotten as dark as it can go. It's not going to get darker. It's time to get brighter. So I guess I kind of see the beauty in this, you know, this tower. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of it though. The Star, the Moon, the Sun, and that means the last one we have is Judgment. That is actually very beautiful. Usually Judgment has the balanced scales. I don't see that in this, but it does show kind of what the, you know, the core of the card means. So again, this is not the beautiful indie deck that has the blue gilding on the edges here, the colored edges. I will probably color these in. That's part of my process when I get really into a deck and I get to know the deck. I take that time to go one card at a time and I look at the card. Looks like there's this might just be like a manufacturing issue, and this is part of the reason, maybe not as bad now. Looks like there's a couple cards that are bent, but you know, part of my process is to do that coloring of the edges if it doesn't already have it. And I do kind of think that's part of the reason I don't like the mass-produced decks as much as indie decks. A lot of indie decks that I'm coming across do take the time to do that, or it's like a Kickstarter and like, oh, this is our, you know, our pledge goal. And they'll add that. In fact, most of the 3 indie decks that I am currently backing, I believe all 3 of them have some sort of a gilded edge. I do think it's unfortunate when the cards don't have it, because it does, to me, take away from it a little bit. And when it has it, it just feels a lot better. So the indie deck of this one has this beautiful blue. I believe it is the same color as this detail right here. So I'm going to do my best to match that and do this edging when I get more familiar with this deck. Now, one way that you can become more familiar with a deck like the Light Seer's Tarot is by going to the website, Chris Ann's website, just again, Google Light Seer's Tarot, and download the field guide. So I'm going to show you my book here. Oh, that card again. I love this card. Yeah, you print off this field guide, and you just have to put in your order number from wherever it is you ordered it from, and she'll email this to you. And it has the name, the card again. It's got, the key concepts. So this is pretty much the same. Let's see here. That you are going to find if you go into the deck. I'm sure, let's see. I'm on the 6 of Cups, so I went too far. I didn't go far enough. There we go. Right in the middle. So it looks like we have the Light Seer, Shadow Seer, Shadow Seer. So this one does have a reverse. The Muse Tarot did not have a reverse meaning. Looks like the Light Seer is the upright meaning, and then the Shadow Seer is the reverse meaning. So if you do reverse readings, I don't usually. I will flip it unless it feels like it's really something important and it's trying to send me a message in the reverse. I tend to prefer to just flip the cards back over and not read in the reverse, and that's a very beginner move of me too. If you are just starting out, it's okay to not read in the reverse. You don't have to. Some people might argue that with me, but I definitely feel connected to the upright meanings, and because that's what the card is showing you. And even though you're looking at the card upside down, you're still looking at the same visual. Like, even if I'm looking at this upside down, I still see the kid, and I still see the man, and I still see the dog and the puppy, and I can tell that this is a flashback. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I might change my mind as I get further into learning tarot, but anyway, so we do have the same information. But this has a few extra things. So it doesn't have this full story. Oops. And it does have it has the quote. Let me try to clear this off here. It does have the quote, and this time it has it more in Chris Ann's handwriting. What I'm assuming is the handwriting, it's the same that you see. Sorry, I just bumped my camera. That you see in the Muse Tarot on the website when it comes to the poetry. So there's a few questions for the seer, so things to ask yourself as you're going through it card by card. So what memories are coming up? Can you connect them to your present situation? So I connected it not to my personal memory, but I actually connected it to my husband and that dog. And the dog I actually got to know at the end of his life. His name was Whiskey. And that, to me, I can feel that connection to the past, even though I didn't personally experience it. It did bring that up in my head. Write your inner child a letter explaining how wonderful things will be and at what stage they will need to grow, learn, and persevere. And then can you look back and see how far you have come? And then it gives you this section down here to kind of answer that. So you can go through this deck one card at a time. You'll flip through and probably just do it in order. And just as you're going through, you'll look at the card, read the meanings, read the questions, connect, read the quote. How does it? I'm at peace with my past. It has brought me where I am meant to be. And then you can answer those questions and you can kind of write the prompt notes on here. And that is just a really great way to connect to your deck. And I love that she provides this for free for people who have purchased the deck. And I think a lot of people miss out on that because they don't realize that they can do that. Like maybe you just haven't gone to the website, but you totally should because it gives you all of that information. And sorry, I just keep bumping my camera here. I'm going to try to get back into position. I do want to quickly pull up the website just so you can get a feel for what that provides you in comparison to what you got with the Muse Tarot. And again, I did the review of the Muse Tarot first. I highly recommend you double back and watch that one because I do make a lot of references to it here. So if you haven't yet, there's my new light. This is the website for the Light Seers Tarot. Beautiful. The Hanged Man is right there. Some of the cups. So you can order the deck. Goes through and you can order your deck and receive printable field notes. So that's what I was just showing you. It is a free gift. So you just order the deck and then you come down here and you put in your email, your name, and then your invoice number from wherever you ordered it from, and you will get that in your email. And I highly, highly, highly recommend doing that just because it's just a nice way to kind of get familiar. So I'm just going to randomly pick a card and see what comes up for me. The Tower. As I was just saying, I didn't really like this card in this deck, and it's not loading for me. There it goes. Also, it's only showing me like half of the screen, which is a little bizarre. So this is what you're going to find if you go card by card. So I have the Tower card meanings. So they're at the top. So you get the Light Seers meeting and the Shadow Seer meeting. And again, it specifies it more, the upright and reverse. Whereas the guidebook did not kind of specify that. You have the quote, "In chaos, I walk towards the brightest light." Then the overview, and this is where you get kind of the same thing you get in the guidebook, that more, I guess, more detail. You do not get that in the field notes, but you know, between either the website or the guidebook, you can get the full meaning and work on that with the field notes. So, the jolt of the Tower is visceral and often frightening. Know that you are safe and that the magic of starting anew bubbles from this change. Kind of like what I said. I like how they did compare it to the original Rider-Waite version, Rider-Waite-Smith version, and then the, of course, the Light Seers version is right there. And then this is a longer message from the Tower. So this looks like the extra thing that you get in the website that you don't get from the guidebook. So yeah, I guess the website does have some valuable information if you are really digging into it and really trying to get to know the deck, and it has the questions. So you don't even have to download the field guide in order to get the questions that they have on there. It just is a nice place to kind of organize it. And if you scroll down further, again, you have all of the cards here. So let's just randomly click on one. I'll click on the Five of Wands. And it's going to open up the card. Again, the key meanings, the upright and the reverse meanings, the quote, "We rise together in accelerated harmony," an overview of the card meaning. And again, I'm sure you can hear all the people in my house right now. The side-by-side of the Rider-Waite-Smith and then the Light Seers and how they compare. And you can see the connection between the key symbols and the meanings between the two. And then the message from the Five of Wands, which again is different. It's this, I think you can only get on the website. You don't get that on the field notes or the guidebook. So yeah, check out the website. It does have more information. And then you've got the questions. And then you can move on. So maybe it is one of those things where you can go card by card using the website, using the field notes, kind of making your notes, working your way through it, becoming really familiar with this particular deck and any of the unique nuances that this deck has. And again, it is a beautiful, beautiful deck. Chris Ann does amazing work. I love both of her decks that I have. Again, the Muse and the Light Seers. I would be very interested if she made another deck. I would definitely try to get in on that Kickstarter so I can get one of the indie versions and not the mass-produced version, because again, there's a few things different that I really enjoy in the indie version versus the Hay House version. The gilded edges, but also the bigger guidebook, the bigger box, and just a few other things. I think a couple of the cards, not in this one, but a couple of the cards in the Muse were different from the indie to the mass-produced one. All right, so that has been my review of the Light Seers Tarot. So the first 3 videos of my channel are going to be the Muse Tarot review, the Light Seers Tarot review, and then the unboxing of the 9 of Earth Pride box. And then I'll do a walkthrough later of the Pride Tarot deck that came with the 9 of Earth Pride box. So thank you for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. as we review tarot, oracle decks, and other fun witchy things. This has been the Peacefire Witch. I'll see you again soon.